Good evening. This is a tutorial on how to do the mean from a group frequency table. What I suggest you do is pause the video and attempt the question yourself, or you can come and get a sheet from me and then play again, and you'll be able to find out how you would go about a question like this. Okay, as you can see, Caleb measured the heights of 30 plants. The table gives some information about the heights H of the plants. And the first thing to notice is the inequalities down the heights column. Those things with the less than sign and the less than or equal to sign, they're called inequalities. And what they basically mean is that the height is between 0 and 10, 10 and 20, 20 and 30, 30 and 40. Now the common mistake people make here is that they're not sure where the 20 would go. So here, 20 would go in that one because it's or equal to. Okay, because it says or equal to, that's where you would put it. It doesn't go in there because that sign just means is greater than. So it means it's greater than 20, like 20.5, 20.8, but not equal to 20. And the reason they need those sort of things is because data can be in between. If you had just 10 to 20 and 21 to 30, 20.5 wouldn't have anywhere to go. Okay, let's have a go at the question. So if we know that there are two, we need a midpoint to represent the middle of this frequency. If we think back to when we do normal frequency tables, we have to multiply that number by that number. So what we need to do is do a midpoint, and the midpoint is found by 0, add 10, I'll make a note of this on this one, 0 plus 10, 0 plus 10 divided by 2. That will find you the midpoint in any case. Add the two extremes together and divide by 2. So that's going to be 5. And it's nice and quick just to multiply our way down that column. We don't bother with the total of the midpoints because it doesn't mean anything, it's just adding up values. Those midpoints are going to be used to represent the heights. We don't know whether the heights were 5 or 8 or 2 or 3, so we use the midpoint to represent them. So what we're going to do in this end column is going to say, well, let's say that if they were 5 centimetres, we've got two plants that were 5 centimetres. In total, that's going to be 10. 2 times 5 is 10. We can do that going down. 8 15s, and for those of you who need to, you can grab your calculators here. 8 15s are 120. 9 25s are 225. 7 35s. Now if you wanted to do that in our heads, it's more complicated. What I do is I double it to make 70. 3 of those would be 210, which accounts for 6 so far. So I think it's going to be 245. Do be prepared to check on your calculator. And finally, 4 45s, well 2 45s are 90, so 4 45s are going to be 180. Now what we do need is a total. Remember we did say earlier we don't do the total midpoint, but we do the total frequency, which is going to be the same at the top of the question. You can see it's 30 plants. So that was going to be 30. You can add them up to check them. And then we need to add the total of this column. Now I strongly suggest here to make sure you avoid mistakes, you do use a calculator because you don't want to get this one wrong. Okay, so what I'm going to do here very quickly is 10 plus 120 plus 225 plus 245 plus 180 is equal to 780. Go back and write that 780 in, and I've just written that just there because that's the total. Now it says work out an estimate for the mean, and going back to what I always say about these questions, do underline key words. The mean height, and it's an estimate. It's not estimate as in guess. I think it might be 4, or I think it might be 12. What it is because we are using these midpoints here, we call it an estimate. So that's why it's an estimate. So what we're going to do, mean, as we all can remember from our level 5 work, the mean is the total of adding all the numbers together and dividing it by how many numbers there are, and that's what's represented here. 780 would be the total height if we added together all these midpoints, 2 with 5, 8 with 15, 9 with 25. That's the total height that if you put all these plants on top of each other, it would be about 780 centimetres high, or 7.8 metres, and there's 30 plants. So we're going to do 780 divided by 30. Do remember which way round it is. It's that number divided by 30 and not the other way round. And that is equal to 26. And it's always useful to just check the units. Down the bottom of the page we can see that the units they gave us were centimetres. That's because the average, the mean height here in the question, the mean height is going to be a centimetre, so it's 26 centimetres. Now, the last thing I always recommend you do is check whether that's a sensible answer. So look at that 26 centimetres, look at the table. Is 26 in between all those numbers? Well, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 26 is smack bang in the middle, and it does look like it's a representative of these numbers here. So it is likely to be a sensible answer, and we always want a sensible answer to our things. So it looks like we've done everything we need to do. We have estimated the mean height. Finally, this is a GCSE paper question, so it's worth pointing out where these marks would be. Well, it's likely you would get 1 mark for the final answer, you'd get 1 mark for your calculation, you'd get 1 mark for using midpoints, and 1 mark for your midpoint times frequency column. So that's where you can see the 4 marks come. Now, even if you got that wrong, you can see just from getting midpoints you can get a mark. Just for getting those right, you can get a mark, even if you then forget how to find the mean. I hope that's helped you. Do feel free to go back, pause it when it's blank, have a go at the question. Also, why not have a try at these questions, which may, if you pause the video, there's question 1, and if you pause the video, there's question 2. Now this goes on to cumulative frequency tables, which is something we're going to be looking at in a later video. So this would be a good question to see where you are next. Okay?